Welcome to the Savage Podcast. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. It is my honor and pleasure to have a pretty kick-ass guest on here today. My ex-teammate, a UFC fighter, a stand-up comedian, a podcast host, and an overall whiskey connoisseur, a cigar-smoking, ass-kicking, bad motherfucking big brown, thick boy. Brendan Schaub's in the house. My man, what's happening?
What's up, big dog? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. It's good to see you. I'm glad you had the time to carve out today. I know you're busy.
For you, anything, man. Look at that setup, dude.
We try to keep it classy here at 6-0. I love the thick boy shit. When you came out with the thick clothing line, it was, bro, that shit is the shit, by the way. It fits fat people perfectly. Let me tell you. So,
yeah, man. But some guys that hit me up, like when I'm on the road on tour, I'll do the meet and greets. I'm like, hey, man, you don't have any 5X's? I'm like, no, I don't.
It's not fat boy clothing. It's thick boy clothing.
Yeah, go to the big and tall store. Yeah, no, I absolutely do not, sir. No, we don't. Yeah.
All right. So, look, you got a lot going on. You just finished up your first tour of stand-up, which I'm sure kicked ass. You were all over the country. You start again in January. And you've got your Barstool thing tomorrow. Just elaborate on all that before we get into what we're doing here.
Yeah, so the 2022 tour is over. Your boy was on the road non-freaking stop. That's why I have two nuts hanging off my eyes now. I'm exhausted. And I got two young kiddos too, man. So I get no rest. But the tour was great, man. The tour was great coming out of the pandemic. You know, during the pandemic, the lockdowns, I could only really play Arizona, Texas, and Florida. So now it's, kind of over with. It was fun to get back into some of these other markets. So we ended the tour in Providence, Rhode Island. And now I get to chill, focus on the kiddos and, the Thick Boy Network and do that stuff. And I'll be doing spots around town because you don't want to take too long off. It's a bad idea. So I'll be doing spots.
Gotta keep the air hot, homie.
Yeah, dog, you got it. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. So I'll be doing spots around LA until probably mid-January. Then we'll announce a big tour in January. So back on the road, dude. And then tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, I do those Calabasas Fight Companions. It's like Fight Companions do Joe Rogan. So the idea came from Rogan. That's his baby. Fight Companion was his baby, and then Joe moved to Texas. And, Joe's like an older brother to me. So we talk all the time. And I go, man, you know what I missed the most out of, everyone moved during the pandemic and all that stuff. I said, I missed the companions. It's the funnest I ever had. And he goes, I do too, man. I'm just too busy. Hopefully I can do some. He goes, but you should do it. You should run with the Fight Companions.
Good idea.
He's like, yeah, do it, man. I was like, have your blessing. He's like, hell yeah. I'm like, say less. So then I watched Calabasas Fight Companion. And, we've been doing about a year now, and it's fun. And, it's not Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, and Brian Callen, the original Rat Pack, but it's a different group every time, which makes it different, fun. Some are great, some are, different. But we've been trying to work on this deal with Barstool for probably about 2 years, and finally we got the green light. So tomorrow night, Barstool has their own fight league called Rough and Rowdy, where it's just mayhem. Like they had some West Virginia lady with no teeth, former meth addict versus, some wrestling chick. They have two small people fighting that a 6'9" dude fight.
Small people? You mean midgets?
Yeah. You said it, not me. I'm in LA, man. So he said it, which I love. That's why I love you, dude. It's just mayhem. So the lineup we have for that is nutsos. And it's live on Thick Boy YouTube at 5 p.m. Pacific, and we're watching. And it's gonna be screen, like there's gonna be a mini screen so people can see the Rough and Rowdy pay-per-view, just not the main event. You can watch it with us up the main event. So Barstool's gonna be doing their thing in person at the fights, and I think it's in Providence, Rhode Island, which is a coincidence, but in Providence, Rhode Island, and it's Dave Portnoy, Big Cat, Robbie, all the players gonna be doing their thing. And then you can also watch ours, and it's me, Donald Cerrone, Rampage Jackson, Teddy Swims, and Adam 22. So it's gonna be a big boy, man. So we have I know, dude. I can't wait. And so and I just get drunk and try to control the ship, but it gets out of control. Sometimes we talk about octopus for an hour, and people are like, what about the fights? I'm like, oh yeah, there's fights on. And then Saturday, we have the regular Fight Companion, Calabasas Fight Companion. It's for UFC 282. It's Brian Callen, Sam Tripoli, and Frank Grillo and me.
I love it,
man. So
the next time you see BC, slap him real hard on the back for me and say the bear covered in human skin says hello.
Yeah. Whenever I bring you up, whenever I bring you up, he's like, he is such a big man. I'm like, yeah, he's a football player, dude. Yeah. All big. Yeah.
He can come climb me like a tree if he wants to, a little weirdo.
Yeah, I'm like, could you be less gay, Brian? Yeah, I know he's a big guy. Yeah, could you be less gay? Yeah.
Hey, at least somebody's calling me sexy. I'll take it at this point.
Man, I'm aging like freaking it's not good. I'm aging like
gravity sucks, bro. We'll just put it like that.
Oh,
my balls are starting to sag.
Oh, dude, gravity's kicking my ass. I'm down on the cards 10-8, man. It is. I'm slowly turning to Joey.
Undefeated.
Yeah, I look like Joey Fatone right now. I don't know what's happening.
God, that's fantastic. Yeah. Hey, so let me start with this. The stand-up career that you went into.
Yeah.
How hard is it not to yell at people in the crowd? But I love how you interact with people in the crowd too. Tell me about that give and take, because I've always been astonished by it.
Yeah, so now I love it now, it's rare to happen. I mean, certain markets like the markets everyone thinks about, like Boston can be tough, New York, Philly, they can be harsh crowds if they're not feeling the material. When I was first, I've been doing stand-up almost 8 years now. I've been headlining 6 years. So, when I first started, if someone flustered me a little bit, because you don't have the chops, you're just right. Like, this is not good, and you just power through it and try to ignore it, and hopefully security gets to them. But once you've been doing it long enough, if someone says something, you can engage with them. I did a show for 4 years with Theo Vaughn. It was a roast show, so me and him would just roast each other. So that built my chops to light people up, because Theo's
like the locker room all over again.
Yeah, bro. It's and I grew up in locker room, so especially if I can see them, I'm like, oh, dude,
it's on,
bro. And then the fans love it. The fans absolutely love it. And dude, funny story about the hecklers. I was playing Baltimore like 3 months ago, and I've never played Baltimore. One of the only places I've never played. And when I booked it, every comic, Schultz, Tim Dillon, Chris Stefano, Joey Diaz, Joey Diaz is like, dude, he's like, Brendan Schaub, you don't want to, you got to be careful in Baltimore. Yeah, the fucking savage. The fucking savages, Brendan Schaub. And I go, okay. So I was like nervous going on stage. All good Thursday, great crowds. Friday, all good. I text all of them in group text. I'm like, you guys are bitches, man. This is, what do you mean rough crowd? You ever played Philly? And these are like veteran comics. Like, yeah, maybe you just got lucky. Saturday night. The guy, so the feature before him, his name's David Lucas. Now he's a professional roaster. He's like a roaster. They call him the roast master. He has merch of roasting. He's on the roast show, online. He's done roast battles. He's the champion of roasting. So if anyone heckles him, we all come out of the green room just to watch him light him up. He's made people cry, like savage, dude, savage. The big fat black, so savage. Oh, dude, you would ruthless, dude. So there's this lady in the front row who keeps heckling him, and he just destroys her for 30 minutes. The crowd's going wild. And I was like, all right, well, hopefully that calms her down. So he comes back to the green room when he gets off. He goes, hey, man, that lady and her husband might be an issue. He goes, I did my best to pipe him down, light him up, but just be wary of it. I'm like, all good. I'm sure you embarrassed the hell out of her, man. I'm sure she can pipe down. So I can see, and it was like a small type theater. She's on the second rafters.
Right. And
I can see out of the corner of my eye, like she's talking, but nothing, she's not saying anything to me. But her husband, they won't get talking. So people are yelling at them to shut up. And her husband's taking Kit Kats and he's throwing it at the table below him. And in my head, as I'm in the middle of my set, in my head, I'm like, that can't be good. But no one's going to do anything. In the middle of my job, probably 10 minutes in my act, I see this dude scale the bleachers, scale the freaking stands, gets up there. I'm like, what's that? The whole crowd turns around. And, my crowd's not really the crowd to do those shenanigans. Like these guys, my crowd's real. And my crowd's a real cock fest. A lot of dudes who train and tattoo. Yeah. I'll see a face tattoo every now and then. Yeah. So he was throwing it just at the wrong bro, dude. And this guy scales the bleachers, gets up there, and the whole crowd turns around. And he jumps off the freaking stand. Superman punches this dude in the face. What? And this guy was probably like 50. He must have wrestled in like junior high. He shoots a double leg. And this guy's just wailing on his ass. The crowd's like, yeah, get him. And the whole crowd's like chanting, like, get him, cheering. Turns into this like weird cock fest thing. And then like straight up fighting cock fest, like not good. And in my head, I'm like, oh, how the hell am I going to get this crowd back? And then some young man in the front row, he's like 18 or 19. He yells loud as he could, goes, twist his dick off. And the whole crowd starts laughing.
Grab his dick and twist it!
Oh my god, dude, this is an MMA fight, dude.
You twist that dick!
Twist his dick!
Twist his dick!
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
Oh, dick twist!
And I noted down like, oh, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank God. Thank God. So once the security got them, kicked everybody out. And so I'm like, can I get back to my act down? They're like, please. They start clapping. I go, move on. I said, who shouted twist his dick off? This young kid raised his hand. I'm like, twist his dick off, dude? Oh. So then the way to navigate it, without freaking out, because stand up, you're a lion tamer. You're basically a lion tamer where if that lion realizes he can get over on you, you're screwed. You're going to lose it. You're going to get killed. So you gotta show authority there. So I'm doing my thing. Oh, dude, twist his dick off. I'm like, well, that's gold. So I address him. I make jokes about twisting his dick off. I was like, man, you really want to see a dick get twisted off, dude? He's like, yeah, it'd be great. I'm like, all right, 2 hands or 1? What are we talking here? So then I go, where's the guy that Superman punched the heckler? And they're like, security kicked him out. I went, no. I said, I'm not going to start this show till he comes back in here. And I was like, that guy is a hero. So the crowd's like, yeah, bring him back. So I look at my guys, my whole team's there, and I go get him. If he's out in the parking lot, go get him. 2 seconds later, they walk him in, and the crowd goes nuts. They're going nuts. I go, and he's walking his seat. I go, no, get up here, dude. You're a goddamn hero. He comes on stage, and everyone's chanting for him. Finally, quiet down. I go, I got one question for you, man. He goes, what? I go, did you twist his dick off? And he's like, there's no dick grabbing, dude. I was like, oh, it's a shame. My man right here want to get that dick twisted, dude. But so. Now with hecklers, weird, dog. Oh, it's a weird gig, dude. Now with hecklers, it's like it'll make the show though, because you never get like a hot, attractive person heckling you. It's always like some warlock where you're like, dude,
gargoyle. It's
like, yeah, how do you think this is gonna end for you? I do this for a living, dude, and I'm literally gonna get a bit out of this, you idiots, man. So it's like,
I got to come see one of your shows, sit in the front so you can just make fun of me the whole time. And I'll just act like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, oh, fuck, I don't know. He doesn't know who I am.
Oh, dude. It'd be so much fun. We got to get you on a companion. We got to get you on a fight companion.
Please do.
Yeah.
Do you ever tell any of the stories from school? Like, do you remember the night in front of the foundry? I'm almost positive this was you. And yeah, it was you. And that dude was talking shit to Klopp, and you just came out of nowhere. And hey, man.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I Klatt a few years ago when he was on Fox doing Klatt's crushing it now. He's like the face of football,
fucking killing it.
And we still talk every now and then, and I keep up with all the boys. And someone he's doing a Q&A on Twitter, and someone goes, best college story about Brendan Schaub. And, he had a million questions on there. He's like, oh, dude, this one time I was with him in Klopp, and he goes, we were downtown, and these guys tried jumping him, and he goes, and we didn't know he could fight, and then we see him head kicking people. Yeah, and Klopp was like, we were like, what the hell? And the guy was like, holy, that's a great story. Klopp's like, yeah, man, don't mess with him. But
and at that moment, everyone was like, fighter.
Fighter. But this guy's definitely gonna get CT if football been fighting well.
No shit to that. All right, well, look, bro.
Wait, real quick before we move on. Yeah. You know who surprised me in Providence, Rhode Island? So we had like this weird like threat. Like I have this stalker. So security was like all over the place, and the head security guy comes in the back and he goes, "Hey man, there's a guy named Gary Moore here."
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and I go, Gary?
Big Gary?
Big Gary. I go, is he huge? And he goes, no, he's like this small black guy. I go, oh, that's someone pretend to be Gary Moore. And my brother goes, if your stalker did his research, and I've known Gary since I was in 4th grade. We played together.
Like you guys went to high school together, didn't you?
Went to high school together, roommates in college. Like I've known Gary forever. And my brother goes, if this stalker posed to be Gary Moore and he comes in here on stilts and blackface, he deserves to shoot you. I was like, you ain't lying. That is
Gary Moore's like 6'9", 350.
Huge. So the guy goes, no, he's a small black guy. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I go,
Stalker.
I bet that's the Gary's friend. And he goes back out and he says Gary's coming, but he just wants you to know. I go, when Gary gets here, you bring him to this green room. So Gary and his wife came, man. They flew up from Atlanta to see me. And dude, nice. I gave him a big hug. I posted the picture. Me and him talked for freaking an hour, man. I was late to the meet and greet, just talking to him for an hour. He's crushed. Yeah, he has 7 kids, dude.
Yeah, good. Gary likes to. He ain't fucking around.
He is fucking around, though. You know, it's like,
not fucking around, but he is fucking around. That's
but he is. Yeah, it was so good to see him, though, man.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he's still fucking kicking it and still doing his thing. Gary was one of like my first clients ever at 60 way back in the day. I remember working him out at like 5 a.m. Him and his brother. You remember his brother?
Hell yeah! It was a Jamal or something like that.
Yeah. Him and his brother used to come in and like push sleds and swing hammers, trying to lose weight and shit. And then, like, right when football season started, he was like, yeah, I'll be back in January. And I was like, cool, peace, Gary.
Yeah. Gary was, even in middle school, like, we played for the AYL, the Centaurs. He was like 6'6", 300 pounds and,
massive, bro.
And Pop Warner. And when he came in, my comics, they don't know, football, anything like that. Like, is he in the NFL? I'm like, he should be. He just needed more of that. He just needed more tenacity. Like, he's a gentle, butterfly. God bless him. He's one of the nice guys on the fucking planet.
But can you imagine if he was like mean like you?
Oh, dude!
Like, can you imagine if he had a mean streak like that, bro? It'd be like, everybody run!
Yeah, dude. He's Orlando Pace. Like
you remember Victor Rogers?
The whole thing. Yeah.
He was like Vic. Like Vic was like mean Gary.
Yes, correct. Yeah, man. Yeah, Gary's such a sweet soul, man. But it's good to see him doing well. And dude, such a throwback. I was like, Gary Moore?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I'm glad that there wasn't the stalker in your soul life.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so moving forward here. The great Brendan Schaub joined us here on the Savage Podcast. Thank you to Travis Jones behind the scenes for all he does. All right, let's get into this, brother. Primetime Deion Sanders is the coach of our Buffaloes. We both played together at CU. Your most famous play, in my opinion, is opening that hole for Vickers to fucking kill that dude on the goal line. We were there at a time where it was NFL players everywhere. If you didn't come to work every day, you never played. There was bad motherfuckers on the field. We had attitude. We had swag. Everybody knew that it was going to be a 60-minute fist fight with the Buffs every week.
Right.
We didn't win every game, but we were damn sure never embarrassed, in my opinion.
Right.
Maybe once or twice.
Texas.
Once or twice.
70-3 was tough, but carry on.
That was a rough game.
We're also one of the greatest teams of all time, but still.
And it's in a championship game, too. So it's hard for me to look at the same way I look at some of these other losses.
Oh, 100%.
Over the last 2 decades, bro, it has been, especially since we moved to the Pac-12, it's been bad, to say the least. How would you clarify it other than bad?
I would say lack of leadership, lack of talent. When you talk about, especially the teams we played on, how tough we were, that started with Gary Barnett, but really it started with you. Like, you were a no nonsense guy. And, when you're at when you're at the helm of it and you're the captain, it sets a standard. So you were a badass. So in correlation, we were all badasses. Like, in order to play, not only did you have to be insanely talented, we were tough, man.
You gotta have it up here.
Well, dude, you weren't going to break us, man. You just weren't going to break us. The only reason why, we didn't reach probably top 5 status was, we just went too hard. We ended up getting injured, and guys, we just broke our toys because we were too
I agree. I agree with that. But all those, look back at all those tight games that we played in for all those years. We always won tight games. You either beat the shit out of us or we beat you. That's how it went. So, now that Deion's back in Boulder, I just got done this morning meeting with the entire, pretty much the whole staff. He gets back in tonight. I'm back up there tomorrow. They are changing things, to say the least. There's a mass exodus going on, and then a mass migration. How excited are you for, just listen to what I'm about to say to you, dog. Deion fucking Sanders is the head coach of our football team.
Bro, dude. So when it first kind of got news, you and I were texting back and forth, and I was like, man, I think there's a legit chance. And then I talked about it on my show, and I posted about it on social media, and everyone's like, Deion's from Southern Florida, and he has an offer from Southern Florida. He's not going to CU. And I was like, there's a chance, because don't get me wrong, I'm sure Southern Florida is great and the weather's great, but they don't have the legacy of University of Colorado football. Like, there's history. They're like CU, even, it's been tough lately, but they're a big boy program. Y'all must have forgot. Like, if just a casual fan, when you talk about CU, yeah, it's been tough lately to be a CU buff fan, but back in the day, we're as tough as they come. So for Deion, I think he sees that. And then also, I also posted on my Instagram, like, when he went in and was like, I'm just gonna let you guys know, like, I'm bringing luggage, like, and it's Louis.
And it's Louis.
And it's Louis, which means we're getting top 10 talent here. And then also, some of y'all ain't gonna make the cut. People are like, oh, this is so ruthless. Like, why would he do this? But I think, I'm sure, I would assume you feel the same way. I'm like, you don't realize how cutthroat it is. Like, that's how sports are. That was even that bad. I've been in situations way worse than that.
That was
like,
way worse. Look,
that's him being cool.
When I was a freshman in college, okay, you weren't there yet, but when did you get there? In 2002?
Yeah, yes, sir.
2002. So I was there in 2000, and Coach Wilson, the great Coach Wilson, who's probably the most ruthless human being on earth.
Oh, he'd get canceled today. He'd get canceled today. The stuff he would say to you guys?
They fired him. They got rid of him. They canceled him. He was too mean. Like, that's what everybody said up there. He was too mean. We couldn't play for anybody that mean. And I was like, he was perfect for me. That's my guy. I loved him. What are you talking about? Too mean. So I remember him the first day that we didn't go to Breakfast Club, which was, if you don't go to 8 a.m. Breakfast Club, you're in trouble as a freshman.
Yep.
None of us went. He walked in and he started humping the projector in front of me and looked right at me and said, this morning, I had 3 freshmen that fucked me. And now I'm going to fuck you. And we ran the entire stadium with a 45-pound plate over our heads until we were like puking on ourselves. Yep. And he was like, you got to go to Breakfast Club? Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, they're catching bullets over in Afghanistan right now. I can send you over there. And I'm like, fuck, this guy's ruthless.
He's ruthless, but you guys were in line, and you guys were bad. You guys were as tough as they come. Like,
I got a degree and played in the NFL, and thank you, Coach Wilson. I love you.
Agree, man. It's a representation of the culture that we're in right now. It's like, hey, man, the military, not to compare sports with military, I'm saying how strict it is. Like, it has to be cutthroat, man. Like, you got to make boys into men. And for when Deion did that and he got some backlash and all that stuff, I was like, oh, that is PG stuff, what he's doing. You guys have no, like, for society who's never been in those Division I programs that are professional sports, that isn't shit, dude. So he did that. And then also, you can't blame him. So, losing's contagious. It's a trend. So that's all those guys know. So if I'm Deion and my career is predicated on winning football games, I don't want that mentality. That losing mentality, get out of here. Like, you guys are out of here. You guys accept that. Get the hell out of here. Yeah. So, I thought it was funny too when he goes, you see right there, and points to his son. He goes, "That's your starting quarterback." I was like, "Yes, yeah."
So okay, you played on some really good offenses back in the day. You've been around a ton of great players. You've been immersed in the most competitive individual sport in my life, in my opinion, in the world.
Yes.
For years now. What do you want to see them, and like what direction do you want CU to take? Because I know damn well you're going to be up there in Boulder next year. I can only imagine you and I are going to be sitting on a sideline somewhere talking shit on a radio show here pretty soon.
100%.
Like, bussing with the boys have already said they're coming. Game day says they're coming to Nebraska on the 8th. Lock the gates. Like, dude, this shit is about to. What do you want to see?
Yeah, it couldn't have been a better hire for CU, because there hasn't been any kind of hype, or there's no talk about CU in a hot second. So just signing Deion is such a big deal. But with that comes a high expectation. So I do think people need to set their expectations. Like, don't get me wrong, Jackson State football is quality football. it ain't University of Colorado football.
It's not Pac-12 football. They're not.
No, like we have to play Oregon, USC, UCLA. I don't think they leave next year, but in a few years they leave.
We have them each one more time, and then they skedaddle.
Yeah, so it's still his first year. He's playing USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon. It's a far cry from Jackson State. So I do think the people they're not. It's just the way social media works, but I do think people need to give him some grace period, because if you look at Florida State, who made the change in their head coach, he was there for 3 years, and when he came in, they won 4 games. We were like, oh, what are we doing? Next year, we won 6 games. Like, come on, dude. We have a standard here. He's like, I know. I got to get my system in. And then next year, they win 8 games. Then now, they're top or whatever, 15. So
now they're 10-win team and going to the
it takes a little while to get that rolling. So I just think people need to be patient with Deion. But the one thing that does scare me, but listen, I'm a betting man. I'll bet on Deion Sanders, University of Colorado football all day long. But, there is, with these high expectations, there's a lot to get done, man. And, his son being a quarterback at Jackson State, he looks good throwing against Jackson State,
competition, going against Southern. Yeah, he looks great.
He looks great. That's again, there's such a difference between Grambling and those other teams that he's playing against or in practice against Jackson State, and then Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA. It's
Nebraska,
night and day difference. So I just think we do have to set our expectations. I think Deion knows it's a lot that he bit, a lot to swallow, because he took a big bite into a big program. So I think it's going to go well this year, but slowly and get better, especially with the. College football has changed. That NIL, is that what it? The NIL?
Oh, yeah, name, image, and likeness. I was literally just up there meeting with the staff. Deion's not there; he doesn't get back until tonight, and I go back up there tomorrow to meet with him. But the entire conversation was the high school kids for about 30 minutes and NIL transfer portal for the next hour. And it's like all these. I don't care if the guy's on a roster or not. Can you get a hold of him? Like what kind of money are they throwing at him? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's questions, and it's crazy. Like it's crazy that college football has evolved into this like Wild West mercenary style. Like I'm really glad we played when we did, because I needed to develop as a player and as a man, bro. And I feel like that's the only thing that's missing out of this entire situation.
I agree, but when you talked about the college players being compensated, where I'm torn with it. I don't know how you feel, but
I wanted to get paid, bro. All those fucking conference championship games and big games.
I know.
I would have liked to get a little bit of that bread.
But me too. My and I agree with you, and they should be compensated. My only problem with that is, well, now they're looked at professional athletes, and now you can get these super schools that have the most money to pay the players. So now it's straight now you're dealing professional sports. So the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the USCs, like look how good USC is now. They were trash the last 5 years. And then, homeboy goes over, the coach from Oklahoma brings the quarterback with him. And because they're getting paid, he gets all these other guys with him. But he just didn't bring any defense, which was his problem. But, so now it's like money is what's going to predicate who's getting the wins these days, which I'm torn between it, because there has to be a love for the game still, so
it can't just be money motivated.
You can't.
I don't think that doesn't help kids find out who they are inside.
Yeah, because you said
it helps you get the bag.
Yeah, exactly. And you were saying that it helps you get the bag, and then also you're going to be working your ass off in order to get that bag and get to the NFL.
Well, think about this too, like the NFL bag. How much, if you're a draft pick, even if you're undrafted, I signed for $3,500 as an undrafted free agent, but I made a team as a rookie. So, I mean, I guess it all worked out. Like, if you are looking at, say, a $300,000 NIL deal, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of money. That ain't shit. That's nothing.
Great.
That's nothing. That's fucking pennies. The $30 million contract in the NFL, that's what we want.
Yeah, because partly on that too, it's like my success and financial success came much later in life. Like even when I was in the UFC, I wasn't balling. Like I wasn't making much money at all. When I retired, when I decided to walk away from it, I probably had $800 in my bank account. I wasn't owning any property, anything like that. So I wasn't like balling. I was living check to check, fight to fight, which was stressful. I didn't start making money till I got into entertainment and the Hollywood entertainment business and doing stand-up and podcasting. So I was, damn near, I was 20, late 20s, so, and I did have some life experience. So I knew how to manage that money and manage the fame or whatever. But those kids who are, 18, 19, 20, and, like that quarterback, Jalen, homeboy for Alabama.
Yeah.
Those kids getting $1 million or however much they're making. It can't be good. And it has to be, in today's culture, like we compare ourselves to everybody else. So if, when you were playing, let's say, you were a stud, you're a captain of the team. So you went on to the NFL. So let's say you were making, I don't know, to be fair, to exaggerate here, let's say you're making $2 million a year playing football.
Okay.
University of Colorado.
Cool.
And the guy on the opposite side of the line to you, the other defense tackles, maybe making 20 grand. He's not marketable. He's a decent player. He's making 20 grand. You're pulling up in a Ferrari at practice. You're living in a house in Boulder. You live in John Benet Ramsey's old house. It's haunted as shit, but you're paying the lease.
You remember when Doc took us in the basement?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. We have to tell the story. You brought it up, Doug. So we're going to get on you for a second. So we're at a fight. We're watching Tyson Lennox Lewis, right?
Yeah.
We're watching Tyson Lennox Lewis in John Benet Ramsey's house backyard. And Doc Priest, the great Doc Priest, walks up and goes, hey, all you boys, come down to the basement. And we walked in this basement, and he's like, this is where it happened. And we're like, what? And he goes, John Benet. And we're all like, what the fuck is
what are you doing? I go, do you think this place is haunted? He goes, I don't believe in that shit. I'm like, God bless you, man. I'm out of here, dude. But yeah.
I ran up the stairs so fast, Doug. I was like, I'm gone, bro.
What are you doing? He's only got to rent it. Got a hell of a deal, and it's a dope crib. But
oh shit! Nobody wanted to rent the house, so Doc got it cheap.
Oh no, yeah, dude,
wow.
He's insane. But yeah, my point is, before we went on the jump, it's just like, I'm saying, like, it's going to create a divide amongst the team, because if you're balling, I'm living like a college kid. I'm in a dorm eating the dorm food, stuff like that. You're balling out with the new Jordans and stuff. It's like, you can't make the other players feel good. There has to be a sense of jealousy. So it's a lot of variations for all these guys to figure out. I do not admire them. And I think Deion has his work cut out for him. But the one thing that I know I can depend on with Deion is the talent follows him. He's going to get big boys. So it comes down to coaching. And this is the other thing people need to get their mind right. Deion's not some offense or defensive mastermind. He's basically like the P. Diddy, the Suge Knight. He's going to put it all.
He's the CEO. Yep.
Yeah, he's the CEO. The offense and defense coordinator, which they're lined up great people, are going to be the ones the X's and O's. If you're expecting Deion to, teach these kids, man cover and stuff, no. He can give them insight, but he's not the Nick Saban or these.
He's there to figurehead and run the recruiting and get guys there. I met with Lewis, the coach from Kent State, that left the head coaching job to come be the OC. I met with him this morning, and he's got his shit together, bro. You can tell he's a head coach.
Really?
So, like, they've got multiple head coaches on their staff. They just got another coach from the SWAC to leave his head coaching position.
Well, they got that defense coordinator. He's not the official defense coordinator for Alabama, but he's like the co-defense coordinator.
Co-defense, yeah, they got.
But he's badass. Alabama,
he's bringing people with him. He's bringing Alabama guys.
Yeah, so yeah, me too. That's the expectations fans and CU Buffalo should have is Deion is going to orchestrate and put together the best team we've seen in years, but he's not the play caller. So have your expectations. Like if you're gonna come at Deion, whatever, if there's a controversial field goal or fourth down call, that's
decision,
that's not him. He's literally gonna put together, the best team possible and give the kids inspiration and put in the pieces he's CEO, like you said, to make sure we're successful.
You know what I think is awesome before we get you out of here? I know you're busy.
I know, dude. I get all the time in the world for you.
All right, good. Well, never mind then. Well, one thing that I think is really cool is, like, you remember when we were growing up, like, I know we're going to date ourselves right now, but like you go home and watch MTV Jams or MTV Raps or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And they'd be fucking, Ice Cube would pull up in his Impala with a CU hat on and fucking, like, they're up there in the Coy Detmer jersey fucking.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool. It's like, oh my God, CU football is so fucking cool, man. And I live in Colorado. This place is so awesome.
Yes.
So now I can't, like, who do you think we're going to see first on the sideline? Rick Ross, Snoop, like, he's bringing everybody, dog. We got Tom Brady endorsing the program and shit.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Dog, this is fucking big time. Like, I need a concert with, like, Rick Ross and motherfucking T.I. Let's go.
Let's go. The whole announcement. I literally think Deion's going to change the game. You know, Deion's going to change the game because he's a showman, man. That's what made, he had the talent, obviously once in a lifetime talent at cornerback, but he was an entertainer showman. So you know how to market and he's bring that same swag to CU. So yeah, you're right. CU hasn't been cool in a long ass time. And you know, I welcome anybody who wants to jump on the bandwagon now, man. It's going to be, I cannot wait, man. But again, they're not going to win 10 games next year. That'd be insane to think. But in the current, you know, climate of college football, that's possible. But if you're saying that Deion's first year was a failure because he didn't win 8 or 9 games, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. But
if they can make a bowl game, if they can make a bowl game with, look, just off the top of my head, they're at TCU. That's a playoff team. They're not going to be as good, but fuck, they're a playoff team. Home against Nebraska, home against CSU. I don't know if you could get a better home schedule to open the season than that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the Pac-12 schedule is going to be what it always is, hard. Yep. So if they can get 6-7 wins and they can build on it, and like I feel like next year is when the momentum really happens, when people see the success. Wrap it up, bro. Like this is why I've been. Look, I love my university to death, and I'm going to support it whether they're 11-1 or 1-11. And I've been up there trying to help every staff from the beginning of time. Since I got done doing this, I'm up there with them trying to feed them players and get them going. And today was one of the first times, not to say the other staffs didn't want to recruit the kids. I know they did. I don't think they had the ability to recruit them. Like they didn't have the ability to keep a Josh Bates or a Zach Henning. They couldn't keep these kids in the state with the coaches they had up there. And now I've got people reaching out to me asking how they can go there rather than like, well, yeah, CU offered me. That's cool. I'm glad they offered me. I guess I'll go there if. Agreed. Now there's no more if.
No. Now, yeah, it's cool, and you know, Deion's going to bring the talent, man. I'm so excited to see it. I cannot wait. I thought it was funny too. The AD came out and was like, I need to figure out, we don't have the money to pay Deion, but we're going to figure it out. I'm like, I like that talk. I like that out of you by any means necessary. It's literally the biggest hire they could do. You know, and Deion, I was watching first take today with Stephen A. Smith, some other people, and they're like, oh, you know, how do you feel about Deion leaving Jackson State? We think it's messed up. He promised his kids are going to stay there. I'm like, bro, what do you think he started? You think he got starting coach, head coaching in college football to just be the best Jackson State head coach of all time? No, dude. He's trying to get to a destination. And to be honest, I bet CU has Deion for 5 to 6 years. Then he's going to go to Florida State or Penn State, or if it goes well, he'll go to USC. So Notre Dame.
If he builds it and does it correctly, and the school is better off than when he got there, which I don't know how you can get any fucking worse. Then thank you, Prime. You'll always be a part of this place. We love you. Like, people in Boulder have to stop with this, like, oh my God, this could happen shit. You know what else could happen? In 2 years from now, they could be in the fucking playoff. Correct. So let's talk. Let's try and be positive. I understand that everything's been negative for a long time, but that era is over. All right. So that said, I want to get your opinion on a couple more things. Number one, do you like the move to the Pac-12? I know you're in Cali now, so you get to see them more, but do you like it? And what do you think about the potential of maybe being a Big Ten team? Because I've heard a lot of rumblings that the Big Ten wants to control every market in the United States. They got LA. Denver is right in between Lincoln and Salt Lake City. If they can get Utah and Colorado to go to the Big Ten, maybe they can have a straight line, you know, all the way to Rutgers, from Rutgers to UCLA and USC. So
yeah, they just
what do you think about that?
Yeah, they just don't touch the South, right? Because SEC's the powerhouse. Yep. SEC's the powerhouse. So, it's smart on their part, the Big Ten, to try to, compete with the SEC because, SEC, and listen, SEC has all the talent in the world. You look at all the draft picks from LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, monsters. I'm so sick of it, though. I'm so sick of hearing about SEC teams, and I like when they go to the bowl games, get their ass whipped from non-SEC teams just because It's just that's the narrative, and they control, they have this kind of monopoly on college football, and all the big recruits want to go to the NIL system. Those Alabama kids are making so much money. So if I'm the Pac-10 to compete, they're doing the right moves. I like it because you don't want CU to be like this outcast, and we already made the change to the Pac-12. I'm curious how it's going to work with recruiting. Listen, if you build it, they would come with Deion, and he's so polarizing. He's going to get kids no matter what. But I do worry about, let's say they go the Big Ten. It's tough for the fan base to, fly to Ohio State and Northeastern and Penn State and all that stuff. So, and Wisconsin, it's a bit of a beast. So it doesn't make sense. I was pissed when they left the Big 12. I didn't like that. I didn't like it either, but I'm used to it. Yeah, now there's nothing I can do. So I got. The only thing I really missed is I missed beating Nebraska and beating Kansas State. Other than that, the Big 12 can get fucked. Yeah, I agree. And then Texas and Oklahoma, they're going SEC, which, okay, there's going to be there. I know, enjoy that. So fun, dog. Yeah. So I get what the Big Ten's doing. I really do. I'm just curious how it works with the recruiting, because your family's not going to be able to see, during these away games unless it's a family that's pretty financially set. But that's the nature of the game we're in. In order to compete with SEC, the Big Ten's gonna have to do something. So I like it. All right, last question here for the Thick Captain Thick boy. All right, Russell Wilson, go. What happened? What happened to? We pay you all this money, and how do you go from like one of the best to the worst? I saw worst. Literally, literally the worst. Is it an altitude thing? It's like, what happened, dude? I don't know, dog. Like, if you compared him before the season, Aaron Rodgers isn't balling either, but he's injured. But if you compared before the season, Aaron Rodgers, my favorite. I love Aaron Rodgers. If you compared his stats with Russell Wilson's, they're almost identical. There's even an argument Russell's are better in the playoffs. Me and my brother had this debate back and forth, and we looked it up. And like, oh, damn, Russell's balling. I can't wait for him to get to Denver. And so I saw this video on Instagram. It shows Russell Wilson like before the season. It was like must have been during camp, and he's like doing the intro, and he's like, yeah, and he's like dancing, having a good time. They go, but how it really goes, and shows his car off road, just like running into trees. Like, oh my god! When he does this before the games, I'm always saying, look, he's praying for players. Yeah, dude. Yeah. In the coaching, I figured for sure they get rid of the GM and the coaching by now. The coaching. Adam Schefter came out today and said that Hackett, they don't know on Hackett. We'll see. He's gone, but they're not. They're keeping the GM. So I don't know, bro. And especially in the AFC West, it's stacked. With the Chiefs. And then the Raiders not having a great year. I thought they had a better year. And then you got the Chargers doing, they're decent. I watch Chargers more than any team out here because in LA they're always on. And the Rams suck this year, so it's whatever. But with the Broncos, it's just, I thought, all right, this is our, this is going to be another Peyton Manning situation. Plug and play. We're going to ball out. And it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. Now, to be fair, it's not like he has a ton of help. It's not like they're stacked, but a lot of his throws, it's not even, you can just tell from a general consumer eye, he's just off. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Yeah, it's become like, it went from unbelievable hype to about a month in, everyone looked at each other in Denver and went, holy shit, they got fleeced. And it's just every week now, they're about to be 3-14. They won't win another game. They're about to be 3-14, the worst record in Bronco history, with the worst offense in like the last 50 years in the NFL. And that's with a $250 million quarterback, dog. And their defense is good, but the thing that's screwed is outstanding. Defense is they'll lose games like 6-3. They just lost 10-9 in Baltimore. Just get some shit together, man. We're winning games. It's not. So with Russell Wilson, it's like, again, he doesn't have a ton of tools, so I'll give him that credit. Some of his throws are off. Maybe he's just frustrated. Judy's probably our biggest asset, but when you looked at it, you're like, he doesn't have a ton of guys to throw to, but it's Russell Wilson, so he'll figure it out. So The thing that screws you is when you give the quarterback that much money, we're married to him. So we got to put some assets around him. So hopefully
who would you want as a coach? I mean, I know that's kind of a hard question, but
Deion Sanders.
I keep wanting for
I think he can do both.
Oh, fuck no.
He'll do both. He'll do both. CU on Saturdays, Broncos on Sundays, dude.
Brendan Schaub, my man. So glad you came on the show. Hey, keep doing your thing. Everybody, tell everybody about what you're doing again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the Cowbats Fight Companion with Barstool. It's at 5 p.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel, live on Thick Boy on YouTube. That's Thick with 3 C's, THICCC. If it doesn't have 3 C's, it's fake. So it's Thick Boy YouTube, and it's me, Teddy Swims, Adam 22, Rampage Jackson, Don Cerrone, and then Saturday for the big UFC 282, which Patty Pimlet's fighting. We have Brian Cowan, Sam Tripoli, Frank Grillo, and myself. We might be adding a very special guest, which I'll tell you off air. It's an interesting conversation. But yeah, just doing that. I'll be around town doing sets, and I'll announce my tour probably in the next few days once I have everything finalized. And then my whiskey, just Tiger Thick Whiskey. You can get at thickboy.com, doing the whiskey, man. Just out here hustling, man. Trying to be like you, big dog.
Love it. Love you, brother. Go Buffs, and keep up those Dukes.
Dude, go Buffs.
Hey, fucking man, go Buffs. And a huge thanks to Rico's Burritos for all that they do, bringing you the Savage Podcast.
This is Matt McChesney from Savage and Average, the owner and operator down here at 60 Football Academy. And I want to talk to you about our friends over at Rico's Burritos. The Rico burritos keep me rolling on a daily basis. My sons eat them constantly. My 12-year-old over here is staring at me right now as he scarfs down another one of these badass burritos from Rico's Burritos. It's a hearty 10-ounce breakfast burrito offered in 8 different flavors, 3 delicious breakfast combinations, 5 scrumptious lunch options, and the pride that is taken in offering a high-end restaurant quality burrito is second to none. The finest ingredients you can find, authentic recipes that have been in the Garcia family for 30 years. Young Cruz is in the program over here working his ass off on a daily basis. Rick Garcia, his father played at Oregon State back in the day. They put the same passion and intensity that they have in every walk of life, and their training and chasing everything down that they want into their family business, Rico's Burritos. For over 30 years, the ingredients and flavors have been identified as the best in the business. And the moment you bite into one of these unbelievably delicious burritos, you will know. Check it out. The website is www.ricosburritos.com. That's www.ricosburritos.com. And it'll give you all the locations, how to purchase the burritos, so on and so forth. On Facebook and Instagram, Facebook is at Rico's Burritos, and Instagram is Real Rico's Burritos. That is Rico's Burritos, a proud sponsor of Savage and Average over here at 60 Football Academy, and we are rolling.
And it is my honor and pleasure to bring in my man, Munsterteiger from 247 to talk about the Colorado Buffaloes and their recruiting and so much more. Adam, how are you, brother? Welcome to the show. Thanks for waiting.
Of course, Matt. It's always good to come on with you. It's been a whirlwind ride here since Coach Prime landed in Boulder. Just trying to keep up with all the recruiting that they're doing right now is challenging, but it's been a fun ride. I mean, they're in the mix for lots of blue chip guys. It's just been something that I haven't covered in 20 years on this beat. It's pretty remarkable the effect that he's already having. When
did you come on the beat for the Buffs?
It was 03. I was kind of a Cub reporter. Okay. Yeah, late during your time up there. Yep.
So yeah, so you were there the last time we won a bowl game. Shit, bro. Hey. So look, man, I was just up there meeting with the new staff. Coach Prime's not there yet. He gets back tonight to have a huge recruiting weekend. Apparently, they got a lot of kids coming in. We went over players for a good 2.5 hours. Coach O'Boyle seems like he's got his P's and Q's in line. Coach Williams got his stuff together. Excited to meet the new OC, who's definitely a head coach. You can tell he's a head coach when he sits down with you. Coach Lewis, that was an awesome conversation. Just talk about the staff before we get into the players. How impressed are you with the staff they put together? He almost landed Mike Zimmer. What happened with that?
I never reported on that. I know that there were some reports coming out of Minnesota. Maybe there were some conversations there, but from what I had heard pretty much all along, it was trending towards Charles Kelly from Alabama getting the job. He was the defensive coordinator at Florida State for a few years. Obviously, that's Deion Sanders' alma mater, and so they have a connection. But with Sean Lewis, that's, as one of our national recruiting analysts said, that's going to be as good a coordinator hire as you see in college football this year. As I was in the early process of covering this coaching search, we put together these hot boards of different candidates for the head coaching job in Boulder. And Sean Lewis, he wasn't high on my second coaching hot board, but he was on there because of the job that he did at Kent State, which is one of the toughest jobs in the country. I mean, they play 3 Power 5 opponents pretty much every year. And, he had them winning 7 games twice. And in 2020, they had a bunch of games canceled due to COVID, but they had the number 1 ranked offense in terms of yards per game that season. Runs an up-tempo scheme that so many coaches have come through Boulder trying to implement that up-tempo scheme to take advantage of the altitude, and they just have not been able to do that. But Sean Lewis, if anybody can do it, he's the guy to do it up in Boulder. So just really impressed with him. And Tim Brewster, who obviously has connections to Colorado, was an assistant coach for the Denver Broncos for a while. His sons played at Mullen and went on to play college football. And he's known as a really good recruiter. And if you follow his social media, he's out there
all over the place.
And he's going to be a huge get for this coaching staff. And Nick Williams, who comes over from Texas A&M. He was an analyst there. He's got deep ties to the state of Georgia, brought a lot of blue chip guys in a, on campus role to both Georgia and Texas A&M. He's expected to coach the defensive linemen. So they're putting together a staff with guys that recruit. I think that's one of the things. If you're going to be on Coach Prime's staff, you're going to have to be able to hold your weight as far as that goes. And, there have been some good recruiters that have come through Boulder in my time covering Colorado, but I've never seen a staff that, has it from top to bottom. And we still don't know a couple of the spots on Coach Prime's staff, but all the guys he's brought in have been known as pretty top level recruiters so far.
I'll tell you this, the conversations we had today was eye-opening. In the past, the conversations would go, who else likes the kid? How do you think he can develop? The conversations today were, we like this kid. Can he play? And it was almost, I'm not going to say the other staffs didn't do their job, because they did. Now, Colorado's a destination in the eyes of this generation. And I've always said this, but Colorado's been irrelevant in the most relevant time of college football, which is the social media era. And it's fine. They finally have a presence. Now their coach is on social media rather than Darrell hadn't done a tweet in 4 years and doesn't even know what it is. So I think that the ability for Rick George to really identify, Coach Deion for what he does on the field, but also what he brings off the field is big time. I knew about this about 10 days beforehand. I was helping Joel behind the scenes and talking with Bloom and, trying to help, Ray, Prime's right-hand man, get a jump on some of this recruiting. It was pretty hard to contain myself, I'm not going to lie. But all that said, do you think that he's the kind of guy that can actually turn this place around? Even though, look, recruits are recruits. Rick, if anybody remembers Rick Neuheisel's time in CU, he recruited the shit out of people. I mean, that entire 2001 recruiting class was Neuheisel guys. And he had a 5-win season in there where they were ranked nationally in the top 10 and they went 5-7. So I'm not saying that only recruits works. Do you really think that they can turn this around as fast as people think they can?
Well, if you tuned into the SWAC championship game and watched Jackson State, that's a well-coached football team. And I understand they're competing at the FCS level, but you could just see that Coach Prime is not just bringing talent there. He's holding his coaches accountable, and you're bringing on a Sean Lewis with his experience as a play caller, and Charles Kelly with his experience as a play caller. It's not just Coach Prime and, the hype that's built up around the recruiting side. He's bringing in really solid coaches as well. So
he's bringing in head coaches.
He is. And
that's something that other head coaches don't do. Why do you think Prime is so apt to do that?
Matt, there was a pretty talented junior college defensive back that tried to commit to Colorado, put it out on Twitter with his announcement. I did some digging. It's not a committable offer from them. They're having to turn away kids right now. That's how.
Wow. What? What?
Yeah. And you know this more than anybody, you know, there's this undercurrent with recruiting. And if it's not cool to go somewhere, kids don't really want to do that. You know, you've seen that with in-state kids. When your peers
unfortunately
are going to snicker at you for committing to Colorado, it's going to prevent you from wanting to do that. And so now just overnight, that is completely flipped a 180. I mean, Deion Sanders wasn't even in Boulder for 12 hours, and they picked up a 5-star commitment from a 2025 recruit out of Florida, a receiver, Winston Watkins Jr. So I've never seen, I don't know if it's happened in college football where you've gone from the worst Power 5 to now all of a sudden a destination spot. It's just really incredible.
Do you see this trend continuing? I mean, look, there's no other Deion Sanders, but if you're okay, everybody's worried about him leaving early, right? Who's to say that next year, another fledgling program around the country that has a ton of money and history is like, okay, we're just going to give him $10 million to come do the same exact thing he did in Boulder. What's to stop him from just exiting then and using the transfer portal to take everybody there? Because I know that's a huge concern with a lot of Buff fans.
Yeah, well,
nothing.
What I'd say is that expect Deion Sanders to be in Boulder for 2 years because Shedeur Sanders is transferring over. And I don't know, maybe he has an incredible season next year and goes pro. I guess we don't know that. But
you come in and win the Heisman and win 11 games, you can leave.
Yeah. But where were we a week ago, Matt? You know, it's
a week ago, I had my head underneath a pillow watching us get beat 63-21 going, when will this fucking end?
So, the PTSD because of Mel Tucker's departure is there, and it could happen again. You hope it doesn't happen in February again. Obviously, you do want to be on the calendar where you can not be in a panic mode like Rick George and those guys were when Mel Tucker left. But yeah, that is true. There's a real possibility that if Coach Prime has a lot of success in Boulder, he'll get poached. But you know what? You'll be in a better spot than you were when you hired him. And so I would say for any Colorado fans out there, just enjoy this ride and try not to set expectations that he's going to be in Boulder for 10 years because you might get let down. So from that standpoint, it's a little bit different than I think when Mel Tucker left.
Yeah, and also I think that a couple of years from now, they're going to be really flush with cash. So they'll be able to match him and say, why would you want to leave? We'll just match your salary. And that's what good programs do. That's what Ole Miss just did. Lane Kiffin used Auburn to get more money. They gave more money and kept it. So that's the business of college football, and we'll just have to deal with it. Look, you are about as interwoven into the recruiting, more so than anybody I know around here. Where do you foresee them going here on a couple of guys and a couple of situations? Like, is there anything you can tell, Buff country out here that they may not know?
Well, when Coach Prime came in, they had to reevaluate the guys that were on the commitment list. They had 20 commitments. 9 of those 20 they're wanting to keep, and so that's a little less than half the class. Wow. Is going to stick on board. And then they quickly added a new offensive lineman, Jordan Hall from Ohio, 6'8", 320, is pretty new to playing football, only a year and a half of experience, but he was first team All-State in Ohio, a pretty talent deep state in terms of football talent. And they're shooting for the stars, Matt. They're going after Caden Proctor, who's a 5-star offensive tackle from Iowa. He's been committed to the Hawkeyes. He's grown up cheering for Iowa, so that's going to be a tough guy to pull. But Tim Brewster and those guys were out for an in-home visit yesterday, so they are shooting for the stars. Brandon Innes is a 5-star receiver that's committed to Ohio State. They're taking a swing at him. Malachi Coleman is a 4-star athlete from Nebraska that was committed
5-star, 4-star
to the Huskers. Michigan's going after him. They're after him. Tim Brewster was out in Nebraska visiting him today. I mentioned they already got a 5-star commitment for 2025. And so, yeah, and there's going to be talent coming with Coach Prime from Jackson State. Obviously, he recruited Travis Hunter, the number 1 ranked overall recruit in the country, last recruiting cycle to Jackson State. And it sounds like he's going to follow him to Boulder. So they're hitting the transfer portal hard. It's going to be a huge recruiting weekend. They're still working to finalize that list for this weekend. But when I get that, I'm going to report on that on buffstampede.com. But I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of stars attached to the visitors that are coming out to Boulder this weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, so what do you think this means for local Colorado talent? I know that people are really excited about that, but I have a feeling that there will be a lot of families that I've already had to tell multiple people that are like, hey, you think my son has a chance to play at Boulder? And I have to say flat, no. And that's my job. My job is to tell hard truth sometimes. And I'm sorry, but there's where, like in the past, a kid could walk on there to see if he could develop. They're not going to take that guy anymore. And in the past, where you could have no stars in Colorado and you could be like a really good athlete that they just find underneath the radar, I don't know if they're going to go down those roads anymore, which may make it even harder for Colorado kids to be in Boulder more. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. You correct me if you don't agree with this, but
no,
there might only be 5 to 7 kids in the state in a given year that might be good enough to play up in Boulder. And
in their eyes, I mean, based on the conversation I just had, that's pretty much the way it's going to go.
Yeah, it's the same as if you were a young man or if you were a trainer in Ohio, that in Ohio State is the kid's dream school.
Yep.
That's all of a sudden where Colorado recruiting is. And
do you think this will help CSU too, if they're smart? Or like maybe some of the guys who are going to go to Boulder, now they can pick up as well. I know we don't report on the sheet, but I'd much prefer to beat their ass when they're good so they don't have any excuses.
Yeah, I guess that would open up some spots. In recent years, the top kids haven't been going to Colorado anyway. So I don't know. They would probably end up, most of them, going out of state to a Power 5, right? Rather than go up to CSU, and unless they get that thing going and they start winning some more games up in Fort Collins.
So next year, September 8th is the first home game. It's Nebraska. We've got them back inside Folsom. I've been going back and forth with Will Compton on Instagram. In the direct messages, trying to get Bustin' and the boys out here for the game, and he's talking shit. And I think he's forgot that, like, since 2001, we're 7-7, and we beat them 2 times in a row. So the rivalry is, even though we don't play for anything anymore, it's still at a height. Do you really think we're going to be able to keep all the red out of that place? And how big of a game do you think that's going to be? Because I think everybody and their mother is going to be here, including College Game Day.
Those Huskers fans find a way in. Now, I don't think it's going to be
quite
like
cockroaches, bro.
Yeah, in 2019, what was it? Probably about 50-50.
I would say I remember I was in the stadium and I was like, son of a bitch, how did this happen?
Yeah.
That said, when they were up 17-7, they were talking shit. And when they lost 31-24, I was talking shit.
I don't know. I think they still probably get in. Maybe a third will be
good.
Red. I don't know how they pull it off, but they find a way, like you said, like cockroaches, to get in there. I don't think you're going to be able to keep, but I think it'll look more black and gold this fall with the matchup than it did a few years ago.
I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of empty seats in Folsom for the years to come, to say the least, which, like a part of me, like a selfish part of me inside, which everybody has. So I'm like, well, what are all these people jumping on the bandwagon for? All these people who weren't Buff fans, who weren't there in the bad times. But I'm not going to turn anybody. I'm not mad at people for jumping on the bandwagon, but I'll tell you this, bro. The respect I have for you and for Brian Howell and for the guys who have been covering this fucking team for the last, 12 years, 13, 14, 2 decades, however long you guys have been doing it. And we've had winning season, one season that I can really hang my hat on and be proud of. And that entire time, and you guys still went to work every day and busted your ass and provided, the Buff community with a lot of really good insight. And now what I thought was the classiest part of the press conference was when Rick George gave the questions to you and Brian. And I was like, that's the fucking way it's supposed to be. Just elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, Brian and I have seen a lot of bad football. And the crazy thing is when you're a beat writer, you're getting to the stadium really early. You're still working 4, 5, 6 hours after the game ends. So I don't get to see a lot of other college football. So most of my college football viewing the last 20 years has been pretty rough to watch, but we're still getting paid to cover it. Right. So, I mean, we're definitely fortunate from that standpoint, but it's tested us. And so this has been exciting to, finally get a chance to talk about blue chip recruits coming out to Boulder and see smiles on people's faces. I got to the touchdown club about an hour early on Sunday, and I hadn't seen that many smiles in a long time. So it's not just Brian and I, it's, the fans that have been loyal. I was joking the other day. It's, Ohio State has those helmet decals. There almost should be some designation for fans that go into Folsom next year. The OGs that
have suffered.
Had you suffered through 2012 and last year and kept the faith. I mean, you got all you CU fans out there that were able to get through that and not turn in your buff card. You definitely deserve some credit for that. And Matt, I'm going to campaign for you. You need to be able to give some type of speech at practice that week leading up to the Nebraska game, because I hope the Buffaloes were 1-0 last season when you were given that opportunity.
They looked like a football team when I went and talked to them. They won 2013. They looked awesome. I mean, shit. So look, I'll be campaigning for that. I was hoping to be able to go up there and help Coach Prime on his staff, but it doesn't matter. I'll be able to help him from 6-0 as I do every other staff. I really like Coach O'Boyle. I met with Williams. They had great meeting today. The one thing I will say is this: after meeting with Coach Prime and his guys, and the meeting with pretty much the entire offensive and defensive staffs today, they are all hyper focused on winning and turning it around. And they understand that it's been bad, and they understand that this is a wounded animal, and wounded animals react. Sometimes they react poorly, and the Buffalo community, I'm begging you, even if they start slow, they're at TCU. TCU's a playoff team. They're home against Nebraska and Colorado State. We have a ruthless schedule again, and that's the way we like it in Boulder. We want to play good teams. You got to give this guy time to build. I just had Brendan Schaub on, and he was awesome. I don't know if you got the chance to listen to any of it, but he advocated for that too. Let him build. Do you think that, and I hate to tie this in, but do you think that the whole Russell Wilson thing is going to scar people, or the Mel Tucker thing going to scar people more? Which one? It's hard.
It will. He does have to build, but Matt, this is a different era of college football with the transfer portal.
Am I wrong to think that they need time?
They're not going to win a Pac-12 championship, I don't think, next year, but I think they're going to be competitive and win a lot of games in year one under him. You can just rebuild a lot quicker. TCU, like you mentioned, is a playoff team this year. They have a brand new coaching staff this year. That actually, right. I didn't think that TCU was going to do that well in the season opener against Colorado for that reason, and was proved dead wrong there. Colorado, with Coach Prime coming in, not only gets, a head coach that is going to re-energize this program, they're getting his son at quarterback, which is, if you watch the SWAC championship game, he did some things in that game that I haven't seen a quarterback in Boulder do in a really long time. I mean, you got to go all the way back to 97 since the last time the Buffs had a quarterback drafted. And I think Shedeur Sanders is a legit NFL quarterback. So you fix that position overnight and you bring in all this talent we're talking about. It's going to take a little time to mesh. I don't think they're going to win necessarily 10 plus games next year, but I'd be shocked if they're not a bowl team at least. And, so in that standpoint, yes, you need to build, and that's by recruiting on the fast track that they are right now. But again, that one-time transfer exemption, these guys are going to be eligible to play next year. And so I think that fixes the problems that they have from a roster standpoint pretty quick.
And the last question I got for you here, Adam, is the spring game has been a no-show forever. No one showed up when I played. Like the spring game in Lincoln is full. The spring game at Ohio State's full. The spring game in Michigan's full. People like to go see their team. How hard do you think it's going to be to get a spring game ticket this year?
based off our subscription growth and the page views on our website since Coach Prime was hired, I mean, it's incredible the amount of interest that's been built up overnight. I think not necessarily a sellout for Folsom Field for the spring game, but I think it's going to be by far the best spring game attendance we've ever seen. If I had to guess, maybe 2/3 of the stadium will be full. Colorado people in the springtime, they've got a lot of other things they want to be doing, but just based on the interest level that I'm seeing on our website here the last week, I think it's going to be by far the best atmosphere we've seen up there. And instead of seeing, no offense to Jack Costera, but like, it's been like a walk-on show up at CU for the spring game in recent years. And Coach Prime understands the way in which to sell your program is to create excitement and all the social media buzz that they create. I think he's going to do some cool things for that spring game that's going to draw some more eyeballs to it than we've seen in recent years.
Rick Ross. T.I. Anybody? We're going to be throwing concerts at Folsom before games and after games this year. So
I don't think you want to invite Snoop Dogg based on what happened at Kansas Midnight at the Fog a few years ago. They had stripper poles on the court, but I don't know.
Maybe everything's legal now, so shit, you might want to. And that's why I'm not the recruiting coordinator. All right, Adam Munsterteiger, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody, make sure you follow Adam. Tell them where they can find you, brother.
BuffStampede.com and on Twitter at AdamCM777. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome, brother. And thank you for all you do. What a great show here on the Savage Podcast. Big thanks to Brendan Schaub and Adam Munsterteiger for taking the time to come and talk about the Colorado Buffaloes and so much more here on the Savage Podcast. I'd imagine this is going to grow like everything else, and we're going to be posting on all the different platforms. I was on TikTok live earlier when I got kicked off because I said midget. Now I can't be on live till the 15th because I said midget. They are midgets. I don't get it. So I'm Matt McChesney. Big thanks to Travis Jones behind the mic. Remember, you can go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Check out the Savage Podcast there and all we do at 60 on all the different platforms at 60 Academy on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I wish they could come up with a better name for that because there's nothing worse than asking another dude, what's your TikTok? I'm Matt McChesney. That's Travis Jones. Peace.